If you didn't catch the introduction video, I'm Fergus, the art director for Opulence. So let's cover some of the arty-farty goodness I've been working on over the past couple of weeks. Initially, I took the character concepts drawn by Chitra last trimester, a collaborator we worked with in our pre-production phase of the project. With these concepts, I created this blueprint and rough color illustration to help me bring the concept to life in 3D. Because I'm the only artist on the project this trimester, I need to save as much time as possible, so I took this small character model as a base and tweaked it into the models for the bulky charger character and the lanky rage character you can see here. Next was rigging, and because it's such a huge task, I needed to find tools to save myself time in this process. I haven't coded my own auto rigger, but after some research into the market, I ended up tossing up between Advanced Skeleton and MGit. After watching some of the introduction videos and initial tutorials for them both, I decided that I would use Advanced Skeleton for the project, as I found it worked faster straight out of the box with the biped templates, easy setup. With this, I was able to create the 3 rigs that you can see here for the 3 different characters. In the next video, I want to discuss the process and the production of the render tool that I created, as well as some of the animations I've been working on now that I'm able to render them out and test them in the engine. Thank you. See you next time.
Hey, so we've got our first milestone project due in a couple of weeks, and for that we need to get feedback on Opulence. So I've been focusing on getting the player character up and moving, so we can get the playtesters to check it out, give some feedback on how it feels to play the game. It's very simple at this stage. All the assets are placeholders, and the goal is to just traverse the level, find the skeleton's missing skull, and then bring it back. I've also started a combat level, which we'll also use for testing, and that's basically players will get to fight 3 types of enemies. They'll start against just like a training dummy kind of thing that just stands there and lets you hit it. Then they'll move on to a basic enemy that just patrols, kind of like this spider up here. And then finally they'll fight against enemies that do fight back as well. And so getting feedback from these 2 tests, both the movement and the combat, will be vital to the production of Opulence, as we want our audience to really feel engaged with the playstyle. And we'll need to adjust if we find out that we're not engaging with the audience enough, and that they're not really enjoying the way that the character moves or the way that the combat happens. That's something that we want to kind of nip in the bud early if we're not really nailing it. So yeah, thanks for listening, and see you next time.
Hey everyone, I wanted to take you through my process today as the sound designer for Opulence and show you how I get the sounds that we're going to use in our game. So for me, everything starts in Pro Tools. So I start in the studio and I record and track everything into Pro Tools. Then once I've got my audio in here, what I do is I screen record some game footage without any sound, import that into the video engine in Pro Tools, so I have a reference timing wise and things like that. It's just easy to test rather than always bouncing and testing in Unity. It's just a much more efficient way. So for example, I started with movement sound effects, as that was kind of the first thing that Ollie was focusing on. So basically we've got some footstep samples here that I've cut up. So once I track everything in, I edit and mix in Pro Tools with processing and edit all my clips. You want them to be a small file size before you import them into Fmod. So you'll be able to hear, if I play this. So that's just a little footstep testing. That was easy for me to get the cadence right by testing it in Pro Tools first. I've also got some cloth movement audio to go with it, just testing at this stage. And then I'll export that as separate events into Fmod, which I will show you now. And now we're in Fmod. So this list on the side is where you will see all of the events. So this list here, they're all different events. We were just discussing footsteps. So this is the footstep event. This is the timeline, which I haven't used yet. So in Fmod, you can either have a timeline sheet or an action sheet. For the footsteps, I've used an action sheet. this is a multi-instrument here, and I've put all the footstep samples that I was just showing you in Pro Tools into this multi-instrument. It's kind of like a bucket of audio files is a better word than it's not an instrument, but whatever. So I've got it set to loop, and I have it set to shuffle. And here you'll see 20%, the 20% chance of each sample being called, and it will bounce around at random, not in a cycle. That way it feels more realistic and you feel like you're getting more sound out of it. So yeah, that's my process. And then Ollie will call this event name in his script, and that's how we implement the audio for our game, Opulence.
Hey, just here to give a quick update on how the music's going so far. At this point in time, I've nearly completed the first track, as well as the second track, which is in the late stages. The track I'll be showcasing today is one I've really enjoyed making over the past couple of weeks, as I personally make a lot of darker electronic music and felt so uncomfortable, as I was able to blend my skills from this and put it into this track, and I think it worked out really well. As this track was made for a beginner level of our game, I needed to be dark, mysterious, engaging, but also a little bit exciting to help immerse our audience. Here's a little snippet from the session we're working on at the moment, and I hope you enjoy.